The all-new 2024 Toyota Tacoma iForce Max Hybrid. Is it worth it, especially as a TRD Pro which costs nearly $65,000? Well, I think it is both justified and insane at the same time. And throughout this video, I'm going to explain myself as to why. And of course, as always, throughout this video, I'm going to be sharing with you resources and talking points that the mainstream simply will never share with you. The mainstream is busy selling you on the doom and gloom type of videos, whereas I will be sharing with you solutions and methods on how you can save money off of MSRP, how to save on interest, and even how to see all of the incentives that you can qualify for in your local area for various different automobiles. All right, let's get started. I'll first go through the same regurgitated information that everyone else likes to share. So we have here the iForce Max hybrid powertrain in the Tacoma, which pairs a 2.4 liter 4-cylinder engine with a 48 horsepower electric motor, and it all ties in with a 8-speed automatic transmission. Total system output is 326 horsepower and 465 pounds-feet of torque. We already saw the asinine prices for the Trailhunter and the TRD Pro at pretty much $65,000. However, you don't need to pay that much. You can get this powertrain in the more affordable trim levels, starting with the TRD Sport, the TRD Off-Road, and you also have the luxurious limited model. And I already did a super in-depth video on the 2025 4Runner, and we essentially have the same trim levels and the same upgrades here for this Tacoma as well. Like for the Trailhunter, it's essentially your overlanding model with off-road equipment from ARB, Old Man Emu, or Emu, however you want to pronounce that, and Rigid Industries. That massive 14-inch infotainment display, that's going to be optional depending on the trim level that you go with. And also as an option, you can get that new JBL sound system with the portable speaker in the front. And they also made Toyota Safety Sense 3.0 standard across the board for every model, and blah blah blah, same thing that everybody else talks about. If I didn't mention it, someone's going to call me out about it, so that's why I'm just sharing this with you very quickly. Honestly, I'll just have the full press release on the screen for you. This is where everyone gets their information from, so if you just look over this, you'll know everything you need to know about the new Tacoma. I absolutely love the way this new truck looks, and the price is actually justified for the most part, because you have to admit, they really did make a lot of updates with this product. Like for instance, you know the safety of this is going to be next level. It's going to be far superior to the 3rd gen Tacomas. All the previous old school type of Toyota products, they did awful in a crash test. And as we saw with the new updated Tundra, that pretty much became a IIHS top safety pick in terms of crash test safety. So the Tundra went from being one of the most unsafe trucks on the market to now being the safest truck on the market. And we can assume the same exact things for these new Tacomas, the new 4Runners, the new Land Cruisers, etc. But now let's go ahead and let's get into the price of this new Taco and see why I think it's going to be worth it, or also not worth it depending on who you are. Okay, so the big headline is the new TRD Pro, the new Trailhunters. They're costing pretty much 65 grand. And if you look at the 2023 Tacoma TRD Pro price, that was at around $50,000. So we see an increase of nearly $15,000 for a new TRD Pro. That seems ridiculous, but as I mentioned, this is a totally different structure, and this drivetrain is far more impressive, at least on paper. You are getting way more power and torque than before. The capabilities of these new trucks is very high, but yes, I do agree. I mean, 65K, this is like foreign car, luxury car type of money. No questions about it. But yeah, the reality is these car companies, they're really taxing us ever since the pandemic. Car prices have shot up through the roof, and it's not just the MSRP prices, but it's also your interest rates. We have a lack of incentives coming from the manufacturer, and the dealerships are being far more stingy and not really offering many discounts either. If you love Toyota, the reason why this is okay is because you know it's going to hold its value, okay? Historically, pickup trucks, they've always held phenomenal resale value. I mean, outside of overly exotic automobiles like Ferraris and Porsche GT3s, the next best choice for a regular consumer to have a vehicle that holds value is going to be a truck. And that's why you see so many of them out on the road. Many people, they ask themselves, oh my gosh, who can afford these insanely expensive pickup trucks? Well, the reason why people can afford it is because it's not losing its value. That's the reason why everybody and their mother drives a truck. In fact, recently I saw a 2020 TRD Pro Tacoma with 48,000 miles on it going for $51,000. So 3 to 4 years later, with nearly 50,000 miles, the vehicle is trading for more than what the MSRP was. That is insane. Yet the truck market is out of control. I mean, used, new, it doesn't matter. Everything is overinflated. So what are we going to do? Just complain about it? No, we need to learn how to find alternatives and different ways on how we can purchase these products to make it affordable for us. The first thing you can do if you absolutely love Toyota is to, unfortunately and sadly, just skip the top level TRD Pros, step down to the off-roads and the sports. Those are still amazing looking trucks, still very capable. And if you're interested in either one of those trucks or even just the regular 4-cylinder SR5 Tacomas as well, you can save a substantial amount of money by purchasing through a broker by the name of Jim. Jim is the largest Toyota broker in the United States, and he's offering really great deals. Like if you look at the regular iForce turbo 4-cylinder Tacoma TRD Sports or the TRD Off-Roads, he has pretty incredible discounts on them. For instance, a $53,500 sport model, he's selling it for $49,100. So that's about 8% off of MSRP. And these are the lowest Tacoma prices that you're going to get throughout the country. However, you will have to be patient and wait a little bit to get the Tacomas because he always has more Tacomas coming on the way because he's working with some of the largest Toyota dealerships in the country, primarily located in Pennsylvania and on the West Coast. That's where most of his dealerships are. And because they are such high volume dealerships, they will keep getting these desirable trucks because usually when these things hit the lot, they sell almost immediately due to the demand. Jim is getting more and more all the time. So if you just want to get the new Taco, you're not worried about the iForce Max or anything, you're okay with getting the regular 4-cylinder models, you can save a substantial amount of money, easily the cheapest prices in the country for these new 4-cylinder Tacos. So hopefully you appreciate that resource. Now, because most of Jim's dealerships are located in Pennsylvania and on the West Coast, he does have a lot of great shipping companies that he works with, but that's something you have to pay for. And he also charges a broker fee, but I believe he said he'll take $50 off of his broker fee for my audience. So he just has a phone number, you just text him, mention Meyn Motor Group, and there you go. Enjoy the Toyota savings. In fact, I recently bought a 4Runner from him, the 5th generation, and I got it for like $2,000 under invoice. So easily the best pricing throughout the country. You're getting these vehicles at a deep discount, and because it holds such great value, 3 to 4 years from now, you're not losing a whole bunch of money on these. And I also urge you to check out the Leasehackr forum. Because depending on the situation and depending on the vehicle, it could make more sense to lease the vehicle. But definitely do not lease anything if you don't know the process and if you don't know the money factor or the interest rate of the lease. If you don't know the interest rate and the residual values and the incentives that you can qualify for on a lease, don't even bother with it, because the reason why leasing always got a bad rep is because dealerships can easily screw you over if you don't know the numbers properly. A dealership is not allowed to mess around with the residual value, but they are able to overinflate the interest of the lease. So if you don't know this number, yeah, these dealerships will absolutely take advantage of you. And that's the main benefit of working with a broker like Jim. It's because his deals are pre-negotiated. You don't have to waste any time. You know exactly what you're getting, and there's also a calculator on the Leasehackr forum, although you have to become a paid member to utilize that calculator. But in my opinion, if you're in the market, it's definitely worth paying for it because you can definitely see the interest, the incentives, the residual values, etc. for the vehicle that you are interested in. So this isn't just some mere shill for Jim and these brokers that I'm affiliated with. These are real resources that you can use to transparently see what you're signing up for before you sign up for it. It's because people don't do this research that they get screwed over and they end up with a lot of negative equity with the car that they buy. There's a lot of things we can get away with not knowing about. Like, for instance, we don't need to be a dentist and learn how to take out our own tooth or give ourselves a physical. We don't need to learn a lot of these things. But what's the one thing that ties all of us together? It's the automobile. From the doctor, the dentist, the lawyer, to the plumber, to the school teacher, we all drive cars. No matter who we are, we do need to be an expert when it comes to this topic, because this is the most expensive or the second most expensive thing that all of us buy. And there's so many areas where we can get screwed over when it comes to car buying. So those are going to be the first three resources I want to share with you. Jim, the Toyota broker, if you want to get phenomenal Toyota prices. This is a huge blessing because in general, Toyota is a brand that everybody loves, trusts, and tends to in general hold its value extremely well. And when it comes to a Tacoma, since it's a truck, it holds its value even better than usual. All right, so that's Jim. We also talked about the Leasehackr forum, learn about leasing, learn what's possible with it. And if you want, be a member of the Leasehackr forum and use that paid calculator. Because in the next segment, I'm also going to show you another broker, and I'm also going to share with you a free leasing calculator that you can use. But the reason why I recommend this paid one is because it shows you one-pay leasing and also MSDs, or multiple security deposits. The purpose of one-pay leases and MSDs is to save on the interest of a lease. For instance, the $53,000 Tacoma that's being sold for $49,000. If you do a no money down lease, but you put down 9 multiple security deposits, your monthly payment is going to be $587 a month. On that same truck, if you did a one-pay lease, your effective payment would be $544. Obviously, you will need a lot of capital to do a one-pay lease, and in this instance, with the Tacoma, it's not really worth it. I would just do the MSDs. So you'll put down almost $5,000 as a refundable deposit, and at the end of the lease, or if you decide to trade the vehicle in early, you will get back that $5,000. Again, you put that money down so you can lower the interest rate. And if you've been finding value with this content so far, consider liking and subscribing. But let's move on to the next segment. Okay, so we talked about the Tacoma and we talked about why the prices are sort of justified. It's because it's a truck, it's going to hold its value. But I get it. Not everyone can afford a $50,000 or a $65,000 vehicle that easily. You know, even if you're going to finance the thing, it's going to be very hefty monthly payments. And with a lot of these trucks, there are no incentivized lease programs or incentivized finance deals. So most of the people that are truly going to be able to take advantage of these truck deals are people who have cash, who are not wasting their money on interest. But regardless, it's just good to know about this stuff just so you know what's possible. And if we're going to continue to talk about these overinflated trucks like a TRD Pro, which is nearly $65,000, at that point it is worth considering other options. What are those other options? Well, you can actually look into a 2024 Chevrolet Silverado ZR2. It's around $75,000. However, this is where I'm going to talk about another broker. This time it's regarding AutoCompanion, who offers multiple different manufacturer deals, and one of which is GM products. So on a Silverado ZR2, he's offering 7% off of MSRP, so that $75,000 truck now becomes $69,750, which is now only $4,000 to $5,000 more expensive than a TRD Pro Tacoma. But a Silverado 1500 is one step above. It is a full-size truck with more capabilities. You have a larger interior space, a larger, more useful bed, and because it's a ZR2, you have insane off-road capability. Now, I get it. A lot of people say, you know, it's great that these trucks are so off-road capable, but if it can't fit in a trail, what's the point? Well, there is no point. These are mall crawlers at the end of the day. Less than 1% of the people buying these overinflated trucks are actually going to off-road in it. So who cares about that? But a Silverado ZR2, that is amazing. It actually reminds me of the second gen Ford Raptor, but it comes with that 6.2 liter naturally aspirated V8 with 420 horsepower and 460 pounds-feet of torque. And once you start getting into this realm of pricing, you have to look at your alternatives. And that's the main reason why I'm talking about this in this segment. Look at all of your options. Don't just be tied to one vehicle, because if you don't have a money printer at your house, and if you're not like just dripping with money, then we need to learn how to stretch our dollar and get the best bang for the buck possible. In my opinion, looking at all of these different trucks on the market right now, I think the ZR2 is that bang for the buck that you can get for less than 70 grand with that incredible discount. And you can save even more by qualifying for various incentives like Conquest or Loyalty, or if you have like the GM credit card or whatever, there's an additional incentive for that. And I already talked about the paid calculator from the Leasehackr forum, but AutoCompanion has his own free leasing calculator, which I'm going to have in the description box of this video. Again, this calculator will show you the residual value, the interest rate, and the incentives that you can qualify for. It's got a beautiful user interface. It's simple to understand. And if you were to do a no money down lease on a ZR2 pickup truck, it's going to be around $835 a month, which is a lot. But again, if you get a low enough of a interest rate on the lease, the majority of your payments will actually go toward the equity of your vehicle. In the case of the ZR2, the interest rate, it's not great, but it's not horrible. It's at 4.46%. So in 39 months, your total payments would have been 32 grand, and about $9,000 of that would have gone towards interest and various fees. So not the best, not the worst, but it's just good to know about leasing so you can compare it to the finance deals. Usually on these specialty trucks, there are no incentivized 0% or 1.9% finance deals available. That's only for the mainstream trucks. So in some cases, leasing might be better. In other cases, you might actually want to pay cash. Like if you're rolling around in money, then paying cash for some of these new vehicles might be in your best interest. It's really up to you and your opportunity cost for your own life. That's something you have to weigh for yourself. I'm just sharing with you all of the resources and all of the possibilities, okay? You can also look into products like the Ram 1500 Rebel. I built one on the website with a 5.7 liter V8 with some desirable options. It came out to be around $68,000 or $69,000. AutoCompanion does represent Ram vehicles. He's offering 13% off MSRP on the Ram Rebel, so you can get that for around 59 grand. And there are also additional incentives that you can qualify for on the Ram. And personally, I would not buy a single Stellantis product unless I was using a broker. Again, not because I'm just trying to shill AutoCompanion, but the reality is Stellantis has been one of those brands that have been increasing their MSRP like crazy since the pandemic. Like they've overinflated their MSRPs by 10 to 15%, and now they themselves advertise 10 or 13% off on their website. No other manufacturer is doing that aside from Stellantis. Why are they doing that? Because, like I mentioned, they increase the prices that much. It's like what Invicta does, you know, with their cheap watches. They're like, oh, the MSRP was $3,000, but now we're selling it to you for $49. You know, it's like one of those gimmicks, but in the car world. And a lot of YouTubers like to make doom and gloom videos regarding Stellantis, how it's just sitting on the lots. Well, actually, these things would not sit on the lot if people knew how to buy these vehicles. There's a million different incentives that they offer, and there's like 10 different lease programs that they have to offer, along with various finance offers as well. So a broker can help you get the best lease program and help you qualify for all the incentives, because it's all very confusing. They have all these different codes and it's just too much to keep track of. So I would only buy Stellantis if I was using a broker. But yeah, Ram Rebel, that's something to consider. However, the engine in the ZR2 is above what Ram has to offer with their 5.7. And on the lower end, if you're someone who missed the 3rd gen Tacomas, well, not to worry, because Nissan has you covered with the Frontier. You can get a well-equipped Frontier for around $46,000, a Pro 4X, which is essentially like your Tacoma TRD off-road competitor. And this truck is going to come with that naturally aspirated 3.8 liter V6 engine. It's a continuation of that 3rd gen Tacoma, essentially. And if you were to do an 18-month one-pay lease on a Frontier, that's going to be about $500 a month, effectively, because AutoCompanion is offering 8% off MSRP on the Pro 4X Frontier, and there's an additional $750 bonus cash as well. And keep in mind, leasing programs change every month, and these calculators that I'm sharing with you, they also update every month. So if you're watching this video in the future, these programs will be completely different. Even the discounts will change. But as long as you have these tools, you can keep up with the programs no matter what time period you're watching this video at. But I'm sure, as you've already noticed, this is a completely different style of video from what the mainstream has to offer. There is no complaining here. There is no victim mentality going on. No, these are just solutions to the problems of today. And what are the problems? Well, as you already know, it's the overinflated MSRPs for new cars. It's the lack of dealer discounts, the lack of incentives, and the ultra high interest rates. I provided to you resources and brokers that can help you take money off of the MSRP. I've shown you calculators where you can see the incentives that you can qualify for. They also transparently show you the interest rates so you can compare that to a finance deal or even a cash deal. And these are the types of things that we should be learning. This is what we need to know about so we can be savvy, well-informed consumers, so nobody can take advantage of us. So we know all of our options, because just in case, God forbid something happens to your vehicle and you need to buy something else quickly, now you know what you need to do. You can reach out to a broker, you can reach out to your local dealership, look into a pickup truck perhaps that's brand new under full factory warranty, has brand new tires, brand new brakes, rotors, etc., that you can confidently and safely put your family inside of, drive around in it for 2-3 years, and not lose an arm and a leg in negative equity and in depreciation. You see what I'm saying? I'm not telling you to buy some old decrepit 1970s BMW M3 or a 1920s Ferrari that's archaic and doesn't work properly. I'm not telling you to do that. I'm telling you about these brand new trucks with good resale value where you're protected under a warranty. And if leasing works and the interest rates are low enough, you can just stay in perpetual equity by buying and selling these trucks on a lease. And that's precisely why I decided to get a 5th gen 4Runner from GEM while I could, and I'm using that as my family vehicle. And if I want, in 3 years, I can just step up to the 4Runner, the new one. If it proves to have low interest rate lease deals, I can just continue that cycle, or I can just buy out my lease after 3 years for my 4Runner. There's so much flexibility and protection with leasing, and when you buy a truck or a 4Runner, something of that sort, there's a good possibility that there's going to be positive equity left over at the end of the lease. That's a far different story from most people who end up with negative equity after 3 years. You see what I'm saying? And if this stuff is confusing, it's only because you haven't taken the time to sit down and try to understand it properly. Everything I've shown you is literally elementary school levels of mathematics. There's nothing crazy going on here. There are people watching my videos who are far smarter and far wiser than I. If I can understand this stuff, you can easily get it. You just need to spend 5 to 10 minutes researching this stuff, because it's going to save you 5 to 10 years in negative equity and car repair pains. Again, I'm not telling you to ditch everything and go out and lease a truck or buy a new truck. I'm not telling you to do that. I just want you to know what's possible so you don't have to feel like a victim, so you don't have to feel like you're always just being taken advantage of in this market, because there are ways around this market if we just think outside the box and utilize these resources. And the other main thing I wanted you to take away from this is to look at all of the other possibilities. If a new Taco is going for 65K, understand what 65 grand is. That's what a new Lexus GX 550 costs. That's what most European luxury cars cost. So it would be wise to look at other alternatives like the Ram, like that Chevy ZR2. And as mentioned before, you don't need to make that goofy argument, oh, those aren't reliable. It doesn't matter. It's a truck, it's got the resale, and it's also under full factory warranty. You're not responsible for any of the repairs for the first 3 years. Everything is reliable when it's new. Your job is to ditch it at the end of 3 years and not hang on to it like a family heirloom. These new vehicles, I'm sorry to say, they are disposable. It's not something that's worth holding on to for the long term. Not this Taco, and certainly not anything else. This is the industry that we're in, and this is the reality of new cars. So if you found value with this content, make sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to have all the brokers' information in the description box below. But thank you so much for watching. Take care and goodbye.